Hello, welcome to Family We've Got Your Back. Today we are talking about a form of therapy or school of thought that changed my life when I learned about it, and it gave me a start into actually controlling my behavior, or I don't know, understanding myself and the people around me, and it gave me a great deal of insight. It's called cognitive behavioral therapy, or cognitive behavior therapy, or whatever way you want to term it. Trent, have you heard of this before?
Just a bit, but nothing. I mean, I think you talk with me about things like this often enough. But it's not that I don't listen. I listen.
Oh, okay.
but yeah, it's yeah.
So you're learning along
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
So Okay. So Trent's going to ask some awesome questions apparently, so that we can all help to understand.
Hopefully.
Anyway, so and a lot of people create their own acronym to help you remember the steps and the philosophies and ideas. So I came up with one. It's STEAR, not STEER, but STEAR. And I was like, okay, so what does STEAR mean? And they're like, it doesn't mean anything. It's a misspelling. And so
yeah, it is misspelled.
My acronym is misspelled, but let's steer our lives in the right direction, right? Clever, I think.
Well, and it has EAR, so ears. You gotta listen. Gotta listen.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. Thanks.
So yeah, I try.
Yeah. Okay, so the first one is S. It's situation. So an event, a situation, a circumstance. Yeah.
So it could be anything, right?
It could be anything that is going on in your life right now. And then T is thoughts. So something happens, or you're in a situation and you think things about that. You interpret that situation in some way. Good or bad, positive, negative, neutral.
Yeah, that could be problematic too, because if you've trained yourself to be impulsive or whatever,
right? If you are not, if you don't have impulse control, yeah, your thoughts can be very
biased, right?
Well, yes, most of us are biased.
I get that. But conditioned to what you've done in the past,
right? Yes. And those good thing to bring up, because your thoughts that come up because of these situations are typically based off your core beliefs or your core thoughts, what makes you you. So your life, your past history, right? That's past history, yeah. That's
not your future history.
Lady Redundant Woman says your past history. So if you've seen the movie Inside Out, her core beliefs are threatened and who she is kind of falls apart, right? So that's kind of what this idea is. Like, major events that shape who you are in your life shape how you respond to circumstances. Your core values, your core beliefs, your personality, things that you've developed over time. These are what shape your thoughts, right? And then E is emotions. So after you're in a situation,
that depending, I think this could be very problematic.
Yeah. So this is the part that was life-changing for me. Your thoughts stimulate hormone release in your body, in your brain, and that causes emotion. So emotions are just hormone releases. Isn't that interesting? And they're caused by what you are thinking.
Yeah, you shared that with me a little bit earlier, and I was like, is that like, don't you just have? I mean, everybody has hormones, but they fire. It's like they fire differently.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it's brain chemistry. It's your body chemistry. That's what create how you feel. And it's not just your emotions, but how you feel in your body too. Like I'm shaky because I'm scared, right? Or like you pay attention to your body and your feelings, right? And those are created by hormones. And I learned this was true when I took that medication and it knocked all the dopamine off their receptors, and I started having adrenaline surges. So much so that it was like a 24-hour adrenaline surge for months, and I shook.
Yeah,
I couldn't drive. It was like, and I was scared. I was terrified to leave our bedroom because that was the only safe place in my mind, and if I left, I was terrified. And so I was having these emotions that were not created by my thoughts because my hormones were messed up, right? And so that's how you know if you have a hormone imbalance or you're mentally ill or something like that, is because you are having feelings that are not produced by your thoughts, and it's backwards. And so your brain is intelligent. It's
In
pretty
theory.
Awesome. Your brains are pretty awesome. And so they come up with a plausible to you reason why you're feeling this way. And for me, the world is dangerous because I was constantly terrified because of adrenaline rushing through me all the time. And so it was constant flight or fight. I felt like I was falling all the time. It was like that sensation you get when you're falling. That's what I felt like all the time for months. It was so bad. And so, that hormones create emotion. And so these thoughts that I were having, like nowhere is safe except your bedroom. Like I couldn't go to the grocery store because it was so terrifying, right?
Yeah.
All I did, I left my house to go to the doctor, basically. And that was horrifying for me. It was terrible.
It was scary for all of us, I think, too.
Yeah. And so we finally fixed my hormone imbalance, and then I was like, oh, I can choose what I'm thinking, and I can choose what I'm feeling. It was awesome. And so for me right now, I choose to be happy. As much as I possibly can.
Yeah, as much as you can.
I mean, if there's a choice between happy or sad, I'm going to have thoughts. I'm going to choose thoughts that help me feel what I want to feel and help me get to where I want to be or accomplish what I want to accomplish. So, it's kind of amazing hormones create emotion, and then your thoughts and emotions impel you to act in some way. Whether for me that's hiding in my bedroom and doing nothing because it's so terrifying to just do anything, or it's acting and for good or for ill, and But
and that's the thing is so hopefully so the situation presents thoughts and emotions.
Or no, what you interpret the situation.
Right.
The way you interpret the situation
and those things
are your thoughts, and then those thoughts create emotions, and then those thoughts and emotions drive your action.
Right.
It's not you act and then feel. It's you feel and then act.
Right.
And then after you act, that's the A, STEA, after that is the R. And that is the result. So the consequences of your thoughts, feelings, and actions create a result. So that's the premise of cognitive behavior therapy, is that your thoughts create your emotions, and then you act, and then the result is what you analyze, right? And then if you have an issue, then you go back through the steps and find where that issue is, and then you go to the step before it so you can fix it.
Couldn't it? I mean, doesn't that provide another situation?
Yes.
And that's where your learning can happen.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the basis for it. So for me, it was okay. So if I'm not liking the result that's happened because of what I did, if I'm not happy in my situation, or if
right.
and also understand that being happy all the time isn't a possibility. It's like,
yeah,
you can expect to be happy half the time, right? So it's like, because there's opposition.
Yeah.
There's good and bad, and we learn from both.
There's people.
So, like,
people get in the way.
And people
enough.
Criticize Pollyanna because she's so cheerful and happy all the time, and they think it's a superficial.
Who's Pollyanna?
Funny. They criticize people who are optimistic because they're like, that's not realistic. And it's superficial. And I'm saying, well, no, you can have superficial happiness and you can have deep peace and joy.
Yeah.
And let that deep peace and joy override these specific situations that come and go. Right? It's like, no, I'm smooth underneath instead of, and then you can choose. Does that make sense?
No, that completely does. It completely does.
I'm having trouble explaining it, but like, your core is solid.
It's like,
if your core is in chaos, then it's hard to not let the situation that changes from day to day affect you.
Right. It's like
negative way. Like, it's hard not to like let the negative that happens every day compound so that you feel awful all the time if you're unstable.
Right. Like
underneath.
90% of people that I talk to that find out that I'm a middle school math teacher, like, oh, I'm so sorry. Right. And I'm like, no, it's a good fit for me. And I find lots of happiness. There is frustration for sure.
Well, yeah.
But the positives.
Is the worst time of your life.
Yeah, for a lot of them. And so it's weird that they would think that I would choose to be in this situation. Like, no, it's a good fit for me, and I enjoy it.
Exactly, and it's
so,
because
even
of
though,
what you think about it.
Right.
Right.
And sometimes situations do come up where my thoughts and emotions are negative about my students. Cheating occurs and vandalism occurs, and that's somewhat triggering. But I think about it, I let it go, and I just hope for a better day the next day. Because
you choose what thoughts to focus on, so that you can have a beneficial situation occur for you. Mm-hmm. Right? So you're choosing your thoughts.
I'm choosing my thoughts.
So that you do not have to feel awful about your life choices.
Right. Well, and then it's like...
and then you don't misbehave because you're unhappy.
Right. And all I have to do is endure this one kid for 30 more minutes. Right? Anybody can do 30 minutes. Yeah. And then I can look forward to my next class because it's a completely different game.
Right. So, your day resets like 7 times a day.
Yeah. Basically.
So that's nice.
Hopefully it resets.
Yeah, hopefully you have enough well-behaved students in the next hour to make it worthwhile. But anyway, so I'm obviously not explaining this really well, but this concept has created a whole school of thought about becoming a life coach. And life coaches, a lot of them teach a form of this, whether they term it something else.
Right.
But a ton of life coaches teach this type of therapy. And like I say, you don't have to be a therapist to teach people how to change their thoughts, right? Mm-hmm. You just need training on how to listen and redirect, right? And so that's why it's very popular right now, is this movement, this school of thought. And
it's probably older than you'd think, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's quite old, and it's very popular because it's been around
Proven.
a long time, and it is proven in a lot of situations, and even in mental illness situations. It helps a lot with anxiety. It helps a lot with impulse control. It helps you in your relationships if you aren't happy, or, well, not happy, but if you are experiencing problems in a relationship, and if you can reframe your thoughts and give yourself something believable to think other than what you were thinking that was creating the problem, right?
Uh-huh.
You change your relationship and who you are in that relationship, and it suddenly becomes better without the other person doing anything.
Well, and if you practice it enough, then it will change the whole chemistry, right?
Mm-hmm. It changes the whole relationship.
Well, not just your relationship, but your actual body chemistry.
Yes, it does, because your hormones, different hormones are released, and you obviously have different chemistry in your body if you have different hormones being released. So, yeah, it completely changes who you are from like you said, from chemistry on up. So anyway, it helps. It also says, that I've heard it described as your lizard brain or your monkey brain, right? It helps you control that and supplant that just survival instinct and choose what is best for you and your goals and what you want. So if you'd like to hear more about this, let me know, and we'll have another episode about it. But when I learned that my emotions came from my thoughts and not that I was just feeling things and I couldn't control what I was feeling, I was like shocked. I was like, it gave me power over my life that I was severely lacking. So if you would like to be the main character in your story, and if you're struggling with things happening to you instead of you being the main character in your story, right? You don't want to be the victim in your life. You want to be a willing participant in your life. That really changed my status from victimhood of my emotions to being the main character.
Yeah.
Main character in my own story, and the protagonist, I guess, instead of the victim. And so
the heroine.
Yeah, the heroine. It was very powerful for me, and changed how I related to everyone, including in how I talked to myself. So if you want to learn how to reframe your thoughts, or I don't know, use this in your life, please let me know. You can email me or message me on Facebook. And soon, now that our daughter has moved home, we are going to start doing TikTok videos. So they will be the same basic idea, and then they will have a definition, and then they will have an activity. And that's it. And we won't have a discussion. We'll just have a brief little, hey, try this. And so this week's activity is, so find a situation in your life that you are struggling with and see if you can't reframe what you think about it, and teach yourself to think differently so that you can have a more favorable result that will serve you in your life and your goals. So anyway, all right, we'll talk to you later. You have a great week. Thanks for watching. Family, we've got your back. Bye-bye.
Bye.